All right. Good morning. This is Coffee and Chat with Rev Bruce, and we're getting started today. Getting started with a little something. Just looking at where are you at? Where are you at in 2020? Where are you at right now? Um, October is about to end. 2020 is coming to a close, and so could this still be your year? Could this still be a time where you have success, where you become something new, something different. And so I just want to spend some time with you today, going through that and seeing where you are, seeing where this is definitely getting started for you. And so trust and believe this is Coffee and Chat with Rev Bruce. I want to make it clear to you that 2020 is still alive and well, and you can make a difference in your life and yourself. And so I've got my coffee and I'm ready to. So here we go. Listen, there's been some hard times this year. There's been some things that have taken place that, we may not agree with. There's still some stuff that's going on that we still might feel challenged by. And so as we go forward, challenge yourself to see beyond the news headlines, see beyond the rhetoric of what's being shared, and look at how can you ready yourself to better yourself, and definitely make this a day, make this a year for you, and let it be something good, a good thing for you, and make it be a good thing from here on out. And so let's take a step back, right? 2020, like I said, a lot of losses, but let's move forward. There's an election coming up. You can make a difference. Make sure that when you get the chance that you are a part of the movement to get folks out there, get folks encouraged to, voting, get folks taking action. And, there's numerous things that are going on. And I know for me, I'm a part of When We All Vote, Michelle Obama's movement, just as far as an ambassador and trying to get people out there. And so When We All Vote is, it's not biased, it's not partisan, nonpartisan. And so, take advantage of that and what they have to offer along with Rock the Vote and some other pieces out there. And if you want to make a difference, right, it's going to go beyond this election. No matter who gets elected nationally, no matter who gets elected locally, hold people accountable. And that's the whole thing about why I work on something called Awaken America. It's about holding people accountable. And so we just can't accept that a candidate got elected and voted in, and whatever they bring, they bring. We've got to hold them accountable to make changes that we want to see. And so keep it going. Keep your resilience and keep your resolve and take it beyond November. So definitely don't stop at the election. Don't stop just at the ballot box, but continue to hold people accountable. So now it's about holding yourself accountable, all right, and making this happen. And so part of this that we look at and making this happen is, what are you doing? What are you doing with the rest of the time you have with 2020? Time is a resource that we are constantly trying to manage, but we are constantly losing. And so what do we do with our time is going to dictate what we get out of it. And so think about that. As we go forward, you have an opportunity to make the most of your time or simply waste your time. You can spend a lot of time, arguing with folks and debating with folks and see how far that gets you. But what are you doing with your time? And when you look at it, your time should be a precious item for you. And so as you go forward with that, keep in mind This is potentially the time that you need to shine. So, boom. What do you expect for the rest of 2020? For the rest of 2020, what do you have laid out? What do you have on your mind? What do you have on your heart? What has the Lord shown you? What do you see as your big picture goals and activities that need to happen for you? And I love Oral Roberts. I read a book by Oral Roberts that spoke about this beautifully, and the book was called Expect a Miracle. And in what Oral Roberts shared, I found that it was tempting to quit. It was tempting to not go on, but I saw that in Oral Roberts' presentation and what he shared in Expect a Miracle simply put it in perspective that if we're looking for, bad things are apparent. If we're looking for some good things are like gems and jewels that are a hidden treasure that sometimes we have to sift through the dirt and the muck and the mire in order to see that some of those things are truly to be cherished. And so definitely expect a miracle. Expect a miracle out of the rest of 2020. Expect a miracle out of the rest of this time that you have here this year. Expect something different. And in order to get something different, right, you have to do something different. I got a video that I did on YouTube not that long ago, and it was talking about, if you want something different, do something different. So, check that out. It's right there. Share the link, but check that out. If you want something different, do something different. And that's part of what this is. What are we doing differently? What are we doing differently that makes you want to simply say, hey, this could work out for me. I still got time in 2020. I've still got things going on, and my day isn't limited to, just simply taking it. What am I going to make out of it? And the goal is make something out of your day, make something different come to fruition out of your day. And so I hope and pray that you're able to get something out of this. And this is just a basic look at a few things that are possible. And like I said, simply expect a miracle. Well, Roberts wrote it. I'm repeating it right here, but simply expect a miracle. And so take it down a notch. Every day we're filled with what I would call daily decisions, what to do, what not to do. The Bible's full of it. The Bible's full of examples of what to do and what not to do. The Bible's full of examples of who to follow, who not to follow. Things that will give you a blessing, things that will give you a curse. And so there's this dichotomy that we all face every day. That's a daily decision of what am I going to do versus I don't think I'm going to do that. That's not me. I'm not going to do that. And so in your daily decision making, you've got to take that into account. Whether it's your professional life, your personal life, your professional development, your personal growth, what are the things you're going to do? What are the things you're going to do? What are the things you're not going to do? What are the things you're going to stop doing? What are the things that you're going to start doing? What are the things that you're still debating? Is this productive in my life? Is this worthwhile in my life? And so daily we have these decisions to make, and we come across it and we say, as a leader, what will you delegate versus what will you do? Personal decisions. What will you conquer, complete, or change? What are some things that you just say, hey, you know what? I just need to conquer that. Alcoholics Anonymous teaches us that it simply is a daily thing where you have to forge ahead and try and conquer all the demons that you feel are eating away at you as you try to manage yourself and your behavior and your impulses and your compulsion. And so what will you conquer today? And what will you face? What will you, deal with? And what will you affirm and assert today? What will you affirm about yourself? What will you assert and project about yourself? if you feel good dressing up, and you're stuck at home with Zoom meetings and things of that nature, get dressed up and get ready for your Zoom. Get shaved and showered and all polished up and affirm that and assert that about yourself. But what's going to be different, based upon this daily decision that you have, and what are you going to accept without question, and what will you challenge without compromise? And I think this is important right here. So many people have simply accepted that 2020 is just not a good year. It just hasn't worked out. And there still could be a change. There still could be a turnaround for somebody. There still could be a new adventure for someone in the remainder of 2020. You still can have a banner year despite all of the stuff that's happened in 2020, and it doesn't have to result in you not feeling as though you have accomplished anything. And I want to stay on one point here about what will you delegate or what will you do. And if you're in business, if you're in leadership, think about it like this. This is just a simple leadership lesson. You've got to divvy up some of the tasks to free up some of your time. You've got to divvy up some tasks to free up your time. And I say that because if you divvy up the task, right, and you have some free time, your free time will be able to allow you to do some other higher level things. And in that, I mean, there are some things that you need to look at as a leader, right, that will help you have a perspective on, what's ahead and forging ahead. Listen, if you're the principal, you don't need to be teaching math every day and serving lunch. That's something that you can jump in and do if need to in an emergency, but that shouldn't be like your daily grind. If you're the pastor, I mean, you shouldn't be there, collecting the mail and sorting out the bills and trying to figure out how to lead the choir. That's something you can do in case the choir director is sick or the church secretary is out, but it's not something that you need to be doing week by week. And so in your leadership position, right, think about it as the fact that you are a leader and that you need to think like a CEO, right? Think like a CEO. Think like the CEO and have that time where you have dedicated time to look at the big picture, to look at the futuristic options that you have. What's going on? What are the trends? What is happening within your industry? And when you do that, you can actually see and manage what's happening within your organization, within your company, within your church, whatever it may be, right? And move forward, right? And so even if you're an entrepreneur, right, and you are the CEO, you need to think, beyond small scale and think on a larger scale. What is it that you're actually managing, and how are you managing, and where is your focus, and what are you putting your focus on? So let me go back to this thing I said earlier about divvy up the task, right, and divvy up the time, right? So when we talk about it, because if you divvy up the task and free up the time, that's not for leisurely activity. That's not for you to go and get in a round of golf. That's not for you to go and hang out and sip Mai Tais or margaritas by the pool. That's freeing up time for you to do tasks that are focused on your leadership. That's freeing up time for you to learn, whether it be through a webinar or, you reading a book, on professional development or industry trends. And you can even do it with an e-course, right? And so freeing up time to get better as a leader, to get stronger as a leader, to get more in depth as a leader. And so you divvy up the task to free up the time, because you need to see what is it that you can delegate versus what is it that you need to definitely do yourself. And so a lot of people talk about leadership by position, and leading from the front, and are you, leading from the rear, like a rear admiral or a commander? Are you there in the fray with your people, shoulder to shoulder? Are you leading ahead and you're the man in front? Stop for a minute and think about it and say, leadership doesn't have to be stuck in one position or another. Leadership doesn't need to be, pigeonholed in there. Hands-on leadership doesn't have to be that. And when you think about it, it's a false belief when we say that leadership is hands-on when you're standing pat and you're sticking to a single position or decision. No, it's movement. You need to pivot. You need to have your head on a swivel. You need to be able to make some changes in an instant. You need to be able to keep it like a Sankofa bird, right? Where you can see, right? You can see your past, but you're still directed forward towards your future. And that whole concept is definitely something different than we want you to, think about when we talk about leadership. Leadership has been limited in a lot of cases to, you know, pushing out, but also what you take in, right? And so take this in simply if you're, if even if you don't have the title of CEO, think like a CEO and think as a leader that, yeah, you need to be hands on, you need to have a touch and feel a pulse for what's going on, but you can't be stuck in the front, you can't be stuck in the back. You need to be moving. You need to be moving, constantly shifting and pivoting and going forward and falling back. I learned this. A couple of years ago from someone that had been helping me out for quite a while, Dr. V. He's been on the show before, and Dr. V breaks down there are times when we have to lead, there are times when we have to consult, and there's times when we have to support as leaders, and so there's some times where you are consulting and just giving input. You're the sounding board. You're a thinking partner, and you're supporting in a manner to where you're giving voice and letting things bounce off, and you're sharing with someone else and getting them built up so that they can go ahead and go forward with a campaign or activity. And then there are times where you're just in the background supporting and saying, hey, you got this. Let me know what you need from me. But I'm here in the background. Let me know where you need my support. And then there's times where you actually take the lead and you wave the banner and you shepherd what's going on. And so you've got some choices when it comes to leadership. You've got some options, and positionally, you can lead, you can consult, or you can support. All right. So I was lost for a minute there, but listen, what I was saying is you still need to think like a CEO, right? You have a decision. You lead, you consult, or support. You know what I mean? Those are different places where you can stand out, where you can make a decision. And so even in this era of remote learning and all this other stuff, you know, what are you doing? How are you connected to folks? What do you got going on with other people? And so where are your options at? Where are you with your delegation? Where are you with what you have to do? And when you talk about delegating, I mean, simply think about it where you are deciding what tasks can you hand off to someone that are, minimal managed risk, right? That require little to no coaching or oversight, right? And so doing that, giving someone else an opportunity to learn, uh, go forward. And so keep that coming along. And so when you get there, right, you can delegate some of those things. And then along with that, you can also think about the things that you have to do, right? The things that you have to do. What are those things that are tasks? So those leadership tasks, coaching, supporting, leading, including delegating, right? What are those things that are high risk? What are those things that involve touchy personnel matters or doing some things that build confidence, that build relationships, that secure and sustain what's happening within your organization? And so that's part of when we look at it, the big picture tasks of leadership that you can't pass on, that you have to hold on to. And so that's the difference when it happens as a leader, that you have to decide. And so when we talk about delegating versus, those are some things that we need to keep in mind. And that's important. And I go back to this once again. I go back to this as if I'm saying it again. Brian Tracy, eat the frog. You got to 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 eat the frog. With the things you need to do it now. The things that you need to get done, do it now. And I like to also share that Brian Tracy also wrote a book called Goals. And Goals is a great book. It really sets you up for managing some things and changing some things that you might have been doing that were, okay, this is just how I'm going to handle it. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I got going on. And so for the lack of a better idea, as a leader, you got to evaluate some things, right? You got to evaluate risks. You got to evaluate, what's the, responsibility, whose role is it, but also results. Results are a big thing as leaders because, they're important and they're informative. And it's informative because they tell you what you got, right? They tell you, hey, I turned in this paper, I put it in at the last minute. I procrastinated, I waited, I didn't do my stuff in the right format. And so my result might not be an A. You know what I mean? And so keeping that in mind that, hey, look, you've got to put your best forward or you limit the capacity of your results. And so think about it. Results inform us if it's working or if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, and so no change, right? Based upon the results and what the data is telling you. And if you make no change, you will see no change, right? You will not get different results if you keep repeating what you've already done again and again. You're going to get the same results. That's what's happening. And so if you want different results, right, do some things differently. You want different results? Do some things differently. You want to have, and see some new opportunities? Hey, load it up, check it out, and see, can you get some new opportunities going on? Is that what's happening? And so if your church isn't growing, right, you can't simply say, well, that's the Lord's will, and, God bless it, and let's move on. No, if he gave you a vision for something different, something else, yes, you need to pray about it, but you also need to pray for insight and ideas to incorporate into how to reach, preach, and teach people beyond who's just sitting in front of you. Can you do it online? Can you do it, otherwise? Can you do it via video? Can you do it, via podcast? What are you doing different to further your growth? Right. And so if you're a school and you're suffering from low performance, it's not all on the students and the parents, innovate and implement interventions for subjects, and especially for students that would be considered at risk of failure. Make some adjustments, extend some hours, expand some resources, and get it done to improve the performance. That's something different. If you're in business and you're stuck in a stalemate, nothing's growing, nothing's going anywhere. What are others doing? Where's your competition at? What are they doing? What's working for them? And where's an area that's untapped, as an untapped market in your industry? What do you got going on? And so you might need to expand your circle of support. You might need to expand your sphere of influence. Try a new social media campaign. Create a video trailer for products and services that you already offer, but you need to do something different, right, to get some different results. And for your personal growth, your personal development, and you might be like me, stuck. You're not losing weight, but you might be like me too. You ain't making enough changes, right? Hey, I love McDonald's fries. I ain't gonna lie, salt and all, salt, grease and all. I love McDonald's fries, and the shakes to go with it. So there are fries to go with that shake. And I want you to know that, listen, I've got to change that if I want to change the results of losing weight. I've got to change that. And so I've got to incorporate days where it's, a different veggie at, different intervals, maybe kale this day, maybe some broccoli this day. And this is really something else that I can look at. I mean, think about it. Create a green day, broccoli, in the evening, kale for lunch. Maybe you have some other green item like a green veggie shake to start the day off, and you're off and running. But do it. Drink more water, get more rest, but get from being stuck. And then maybe it's your credit score that needs improvement. It hasn't shifted. All the stuff that you've done, you've only gone up 2 points here and 1 point there and 3 points there. Maybe you need to sign up for NerdWallet or Credit Karma or one of those services where you can get some, credit coaching and get some insights on some things that can improve your credit, and then see if you can get a credit limit increase, with your current credit card company. See if you can pay down or pay off credit card balances. See if you can pay extra, right? Give up that latte once a week, brown bag it to lunch, maybe give up the McDonald's fries and the shake for a week and pay extra, pay early, and eventually pay it off. Dave Ramsey has some of the best advice I've heard with the baby steps, financial peace. And so those baby steps of, getting out of debt and saving up $1,000 and saving up X number of months for an emergency and paying off everything, and, even up to your house, and, changing your mortgage and all these different things that Dave Ramsey advises. Hey, check it out. It may work for you, it may not, but you can't sit there and do nothing. Doing nothing is a guarantee for you to get the same results, right? And so it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. Every day we're faced with this. We're faced with what to do versus what not to do. And listen, um, every day your decisions come down to what to do, what to delegate, what to delay, and what to dump, right? Uh, some stuff isn't important today and you can delay it, right? And some stuff you just need to dump it. It's not working, it's not helping you progress, it's not helping you get anywhere. You just need to dump it, right? If it's not part of the plan or it's not productive and getting you results, it just might be part of the problem. It might be that you're putting energy and effort towards something that doesn't help. And so in your daily decision making, think about that. Think about that and think about how that, can impact what you got going on. And no one's giving you a job. Okay. Develop your own business. Create your own career opportunity. Create something that you would like to do. Make your own job and start building that up. Start building up that transition. I love what's happening in prison reentry with prison entrepreneurial program, and I love how the prison entrepreneurial program has allowed individuals to go and get started doing something without having to depend on someone else in order to help them. And so, the Prison Entrepreneurial Program is a model program. You can find them on LinkedIn and other places, but they're a model program for helping the formerly incarcerated get started. The sister that had the thrift shop that has helped the formerly incarcerated in Success Magazine. They're right there with other entrepreneurs, and they're in Success Magazine promoting that, hey, give people opportunities in places where, they have never been seen before. And so you might have a job, but you're just not making enough money, or you just want to make a change. Take into account what you want to do and how to get there. And in short, start making the steps towards transition, right? Start making the steps towards transition. You don't have to do it overnight and say, you know what, I'm out this job. You can take this job and shove it. No, don't quit your day job. Don't do that just yet. Just simply stick with it for a minute and take the steps to make a transition. Hey, listen, all this requires some, analysis, some self-analysis and evaluation, and you can apply it to other areas of your personal and professional life. But I'm telling you, man, this is definitely something that you need to look at and consider. I started this to inspire somebody. I started this to get somebody to go from being a dreamer to becoming a doer. And I just think that as you go forward in this life, right, there's a lot of challenges that can come up, and those dreams can turn to vapor if you don't do something with them. Those dreams can vanish if you don't do something with them. And so, my prayer is you can take this and use it for just an inkling of inspiration, and take it and use it for, just a moment of motivation, and get going. Get going towards what you want to do. There are people that have been on here that have inspiring stories, that have shared, coming across challenges, coming out of poverty, coming out of, situations where they still shouldn't be here, where they've been pronounced dead. And there's still other people that I want to bring to you, people that are facing the challenge of cancer, people that are, dealing with the challenges related to pastoring during this pandemic, people who are trying to lead community change, and people who are trying to alter what's happening with education and what's going on in society. And so, Um, Stick with it. You know, today's just a day where we look at it and say 2020 still can be your year. 2020 can still turn out positive for you. And you don't have to continue with some of the same stuff, right? Definitely go check out um, my video, like I said, on doing things differently. It will align. It will align with what I've been talking about here, and it'll give you some more affirmation on that and confirmation in your own life. And think about it. I mentioned Oral Roberts and Expect a Miracle. Um, think what you want to about Oral Roberts, but that whole idea of expect a miracle is if your day isn't matching up with your expectations, what are you doing differently? How are you approaching it differently? And then boom, come on, y'all. You got to implement. You got to implement some changes, make some changes happen for you. And when you make those changes happen for you, those changes can be fruitful, right? I'm going to share this and then I'm going to depart. Listen, I have been observing every morning when I take the dog out to do her thing, right? I've been observing um, in the backyard, there's a light that attracts all the bees, and the bees are buzzing and they're busy and they're moving about and they're bouncing on and off the light, and it seems like the bees are highly active, and there's several bees just buzz, 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 and you can hear it in the air that the bees are doing something. And then there's this spider that is at the same light, and it's weaving this web, and occasionally I see a bee get stuck in it in the web, and it's trying to fight its way out of the web, and there's a spider just still tenaciously doing its thing and working that web, and so eventually over time I've seen the number of bees caught in that web grow exponentially. And I said, man, it seemed like the bees were busy doing something and making something happen. But it appears that the spider was the one that was really making something happen and getting something done productive and seeing progress with what it was doing. And so, listen, the ones making all the noise may not be the ones that you need to follow up behind. They may not be the ones that you need to take as the model. They may be like those bees that are buzzing and making a lot of noise, but nothing's really happening for them. You may need to be like that spider and really tenacious and meticulous and following through and just ensuring that web is set up the way everything that comes I just want to finish this up and simply say, listen, despite everything, technical difficulties, here we go. You want to be busy and you want to be tenacious. You want to be meticulous and you want to finish this thing out and finish this out strong. 2020 can still be your year. 2020 can still offer you something that you have not done before. Listen, 2020 is still wide open right now. 2020 is still wide open right now, and it can be something that is so good for you, right? It can be so good for you and so different, but it's gotta happen, right? It's gotta happen, with your effort. It's gotta happen with your energy. It's gotta happen in your capacity. And so build it up. Build up what you got going on. Build up your reservoir. Strengthen yourself. Gird yourself up. Pray yourself up. Build your circle of support. If your current friends ain't doing anything, expand your circle of friends definitely, and consider what you can call a friend, right? Consider what you call a friend, and then at the end, I just want you to put it out there and say, hey, this is, the next big thing, right? The next big thing for you is how are you going to finish it out? How will you finish out 2020? How will you finish the year 2020? Think about it. It matters. It matters now, and it'll matter in your future, and it'll matter, And so think about it. You've got daily decisions on what to do, what to delegate, what to delay, and what to dump, right? And always journal the journey. Write it down, keep track of it, and keep track of your progress and your results. Make changes where you have to make changes. Make adjustments where you have to make adjustments. Hey, y'all, listen. This has been one of those days, right? This has been one of those days. We've gone in, we've gone out, we've come back, and thank you for holding on. And definitely, I hope you got what we would consider some of those jewels, some of those gems, some of those buried treasure out of this. Listen, love you. Definitely keep forging ahead. Don't quit. If you're in school, keep going. If you're on a job, keep going. If you're at working as an entrepreneur, keep going. If you're trying to make a change in this world, no matter what it is, and you're trying to make a change for the positive, for people beyond you, don't lose faith. Stay with your nose forward and grind, grind, grind. Work it out. God bless.